We are continually trekking through Mark, and we are on the theme of immediately moments. And today's devotion is titled Immediately Responding. And we are on day 231, and we're on August the 19th. And today's morning rinse is Mark 11 through 13. So be sure and read all of this. It's so fantastic, all these stories. And today's featured verses include Mark 11:2 through 3. And said to them, "Go into the village opposite you, and immediately as you enter it, you will find a colt tied there, on which no one yet has ever sat. Untie it and bring it here. If anyone says to you, 'Why are you doing this?' you say, 'The Lord has need of it,' and immediately he will send it back here." So my husband, Nathan, he has this gift of handyman skills. And in fact, our family has this running joke, or we had this running joke, and it still pops up once in a while, but where we'll often say with a chuckle, "He can fix just about anything." And it's true. He seems to be able to problem solve with nearly any needed household repair, while most other people seem to be challenged in this area. And in fact, he's so gifted in this that other people have noticed it as well. People will call him with questions. We also help out with a horse farm, and they're constantly saying Nathan can fix that, whether it's tractors or, hardware pieces or, just things around the house. He just has a natural gift for knowing and fixing things that most people, I think, don't have, honestly. And in fact, one of the times that we visited my sister's family and my parents, it was in Virginia, and it was around Thanksgiving time. It was several years ago, and we all had the opportunity to, visit and whatever. But this was an opportunity where we all got this opportunity to watch his skills in action. When we showed up there, my sister and her husband, my parents, nieces, or a niece and nephew, they all, just were like, "Nathan can fix this way better." So he installed a new garage door opener for my sister. Also on this trip, he moved some furniture around for my parents that kind of seemed a little challenging to move. He set up their TV. He installed a dog ramp for their dog who had some hip issues. He arranged their garage so that their cars would fit inside. He installed a new garage door opener for my parents as well, and just did all these little, knick-knack things. And then sometimes Nathan will walk around the house and see something that needs to be repaired, and he'll just kind of subtly fix it. He has helped them out on past visits as well by repairing a damaged door and a damaged ceiling for my sister. I mean, like, my family knows that he's very gifted at this type of work, and my family sometimes will feel guilty of asking for help when we are all in town, because we go into town and we visit and whatever. But Nathan's just always willing to, bless them with the knowledge and skills he has for repairing things around the home. And he doesn't necessarily love doing the work, but he loves the idea of helping others with these gifts that he has. And he's always been very quick to offer his services to bless other people, whether it's my family or people at this farm we go to, or, any people in need. He's helped me with real estate as well. I remember one time where I had a buyer who was buying a home, and it was on a crawl space, and the inspector came in. Things were fine, but then the appraiser came and would not give my buyer the loan until a vapor barrier was laid in the crawl space all throughout it. And we could not find anybody who was willing to do it as quick as what we needed to do it. And so Nathan, he took some time off, went out there and crawled underneath of this home and laid this vapor barrier for me, so that the buyer could buy his home. Just things like that. He just is always willing. And you know, when we're back to the featured verses of today and talking about this colt, I believe that the owner of the colt in today's featured verse had that same heart. He did not hesitate to give what he had, which was this colt, this donkey. And he didn't hesitate to give it for what was needed to bless the needs of Jesus. And blessing others is part of having a kingdom mindset, and it's really to fulfill kingdom purposes. And granted, someone, in Nathan's situation with helping around, family's house or helping here or there may not necessarily draw someone to salvation, but it does fulfill kingdom purposes because you're taking a load off of someone else where you have the gifts to do that. And oftentimes we think of, a church. An example this past Sunday in church service was there was this lady that has been attending this church that we go to for 40 years, and she's never needed any assistance for anything, per se, handyman wise. And all of a sudden this last week, something came up to where she needed help with something on her home, and she let somebody know, and lo and behold, somebody in the church offered to help her out. And so he went over to her property and fixed it. And she made the comment that, I've been going to this church for 40 years and I've never needed anyone to do anything like this before. But it's so grateful. She was so grateful to have a church body where they could get the word out and find somebody who could provide that. And that is fulfilling kingdom purposes because you're taking the load off of someone else and blessing them. And when we're talking about the owner of the colt that Jesus needed, he immediately offered his colt, just as Nathan immediately offers his talents when the need arises. He immediately responded. And that's why I called today's devotion Immediately Responding, because we all have gifts that we can use. And so today's challenge to dig deeper is, what does God need of you for kingdom purposes? This could be your talents, this could be your money, or even items to give towards a need. And so as you evaluate what you have to offer, the bigger question becomes, are you willing to immediately respond when God asks for it? And if you find yourself hesitating and saying, I don't know if timing is right yet, or I don't know if I'm ready, or I don't know if this or that, then that is another part of this challenge. Is that question is, are you willing to immediately respond when God asks for it? And if you find yourself hesitating, like what I was mentioning, then ask God to give you a heart to immediately respond when you find that there is a need that you can fulfill. Be the one that is a yes person. Be the one that immediately responds. And the cool thing about it is when your heart starts to change and you become willing to be that vessel to immediately respond, then what's going to happen is opportunities are going to rise. Never fails. Opportunities are going to come for you to practice that immediately moment for immediately responding. And so if your heart is willing and open and you pray that and say, okay, God, I want to be ready for immediately responding when opportunities come, then be prepared and watch for those opportunities to arise. And we're going to look and watch for those opportunities today, whether that's, on your job. Maybe there's a need and somebody is asking for, help and no one's raising their hands, well, you be the first. And if there's something that's going on at your church, you immediately respond, especially if there's a need that you can provide. And so that's the challenge right now, is not only to really hone in on the things that you can offer, but also to have a heart that says, I will immediately respond, when God prompts me for my time. And when your heart is ready, then your time will come. And how exciting it is to be a vessel to provide our talents and our gifts for people and for God's purpose and for God's kingdom, so that we can bless others. And maybe it is more than just blessing others with, our talents, but maybe their heart just needed it in that moment. Maybe we're the ones that are providing an answer or providing something for an individual, and maybe they're a little discouraged or downtrodden, and our immediately responding moment will bless them, and it will encourage them and uplift them, and it will build their faith. So you never know what those opportunities are going to bring to you today. And so when you pull out your journal and you are reflecting on today's challenge and today's devotion, were you made aware of a need today that you can meet? So we're specifically talking, let's just say today, was there a need that was presented to you, an opportunity that was presented to you that you could meet? And did that come today? If it doesn't come today, then look for it tomorrow. But we're just going to believe that something will happen today. And then the question is, did you respond immediately? Did you have that immediately moment within yourself? And by the way, the immediately moments in Mark right now are now up to 36, with the 2 from our featured verses added to the count. So just in a few short chapters, we have 36 immediately moments in the book of Mark. And you can add an immediately moment in your life as well, as you immediately respond to needs that are presented to you, and those needs that are presented you can fulfill. And so how exciting it is to walk through the book of Mark and see where we can actually be a part of God's kingdom, and how we can encourage others, provide needs, help each other out, be a vessel, and do the things that, will encourage other people and help them out, especially if it's from those gifts that we have. And, Nathan is able to use his gifts and talents for helping other people. And so what is it that you have that you can provide to help the kingdom of God or to bless other people? And I know you have those gifts, and I know that you can have your immediately responding moment as well. And we're just going to pray for that today. So I hope you enjoyed today's devotion, and that you are inspired, and that you really do believe in your value. You have a lot of value, and I know that God's created you for purpose, not just for you immediately or just your family, but a greater grand scheme thing, a purpose for your life and for the kingdom of God. And I hope that you believe that. And until tomorrow, keep rinsing, reflecting, and repeating. God bless you.